text generator. If you've ever typed a question into an AI and gotten back a full, coherent paragraph, you've used a text generator. No cap. These tools are trained on an absolute ton of written material, like books, articles, websites, and forums, so they've basically absorbed how humans write. Ask one to draft an email, summarize a report, or knock out a blog post, and it handles it in seconds. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Jasper all fall into this category. The real value isn't just speed, though. It's that they can actually help you think. When you're staring at a blank page and your brain's fried, a text generator gives you something to react to. Chatbot. A chatbot is built for conversation, straight up. Yeah, most of them use the same underlying tech as text generators, but the difference is in how they're designed to listen, respond, and keep track of what you've been talking about. Good chatbots feel less like search engines and more like a knowledgeable friend who never gets impatient or makes you feel dumb for asking. They can walk you through a confusing topic, help you plan something out, or just answer a question you were too embarrassed to Google. ChatGPT, Claude, Microsoft Copilot, and Perplexity are all big names here. The reason they blew up is pretty simple, because getting help through a real conversation hits different compared to digging through a bunch of links. Image generator. You describe a picture and the AI draws it. That's literally it. You could ask for a moody oil painting of a lighthouse in a storm, a clean product mock-up for a pitch deck, or a goofy cartoon character, and minutes later, you've got something you could actually use. Tools like Midjourney, DALL, Stable Diffusion, and Adobe Firefly made this accessible to people who can barely draw a stick figure. No shade. For designers and marketers, it's changed how fast they can prototype ideas. For everyone else, it's just low-key kind of wild. Video generator. Video AI is moving fast, probably faster than any other area of generative tech right now, and it's giving. These tools can turn a text description, a script, or even a static image into an actual video clip with movement, scene transitions, and cinematic effects and everything. Runway, Udio, Kling, and Pika are leading the wave. Traditionally, making a decent video meant cameras, editing software, and a whole lot of time. AI is compressing all of that dramatically. The quality isn't perfect yet, but it's improving at a pace that's genuinely hard to keep up with. What used to need a full production team is becoming something one person can pull off on a laptop. Music generator. Tell the AI you want a chill, lo-fi beat, a tense orchestral score, or an upbeat jingle for a tech ad, and it'll just cook. Music generators like Suno, Udio, AIVA, and Soundraw study the structure and style of existing music and use those patterns to compose something original. Some of them can even drop full songs with lyrics and vocals. For content creators, this is a big deal, because licensing music used to be a whole headache. Now you can generate something custom in minutes. The results aren't always a banger, but for background music, the bar is usually just, does it fit the vibe? And these tools pass that test easy. Voice generator. There's a moment when you're listening to something narrated by AI and you genuinely can't clock that it's not a real person. That moment is becoming way more common now. Voice generators like ElevenLabs, PlayHT, Murf, and ElevenLabs convert text into spoken audio that sounds natural, with different accents, tones, and emotional range included. Some can even clone a real person's voice from a short recording, which is honestly a bit crazy. They're used for audiobooks, explainer videos, customer service, and corporate training, and basically anything that needs a voice at scale. The technology keeps getting harder to distinguish from the real thing, and that's both impressive and a little unsettling. Code generator. Writing software is still no joke, but these tools take a lot of the tedious stuff off your plate. Describe what you want a function to do, and GitHub Copilot, Cursor, Codeium, or Amazon Q Developer will write the code, no cap. They can also break down what unfamiliar code is doing, catch bugs, and suggest cleaner ways to handle things. They're not replacing developers because the hard parts of engineering are still hard, but they become low-key indispensable for the routine work. Developers who use them well just move different. Think of it less like automation and more like having a fast, well-read pair of hands helping you type. 3D model generator. Describe a futuristic weapon, a fantasy creature, or just a random everyday object, and a 3D model generator like Meshy, Tripo AI, Rodin will produce a usable 3D asset. Traditionally, this kind of work required specialized software and people who'd spent years learning it, and it was a whole thing. Now, the barrier is way lower. Game developers, product designers, architects, and animators are all tapping in to speed up asset creation. The models aren't always perfect and often need some human polish, but getting a solid starting point in minutes instead of hours, that's a W. Presentation generator. Nobody actually likes building slides, let's be honest. That's probably why tools like Gamma, Tome, Beautiful.ai, and Canva AI presentations have found such a big audience. Give them a topic, an outline, or a document, and they'll generate a full deck with layouts, visuals, and summaries, all of it handled. The output usually needs some tweaking, but it completely solves the blank slide problem. For busy professionals and students, the appeal is obvious, because less time stressing over fonts and alignment means more time actually thinking about what you want to say. It's a vibe. Avatar generator. These tools create digital characters, sometimes realistic and sometimes more stylized, that can talk, present, and move on screen like a real person. Synthesia, HeyGen, DID, and DALL let you build virtual presenters that sync lip movements to generated speech. And honestly, the results are pretty clean. The use case that's really taken off is corporate video, like training materials, product demos, and multilingual content. Instead of booking a studio and hiring talent, a company can spin up a professional-looking video in an afternoon. It cuts out a ton of logistical drama, which is ultimately why any AI tool actually catches on. Design generator. Canva AI, Adobe Firefly, and Luca sit right at the intersection of creativity and automation, and they're doing the most in the best way. They help people make logos, social graphics, ad creatives, website mockups, and brand materials without needing to be a designer. You can experiment quickly, try different color palettes and layouts, and switch up the whole vibe without starting from scratch each time. For small businesses and solo creators especially, that's a real shift. Professional quality design used to mean either spending serious money or having serious skills. These tools lower both bars at the same time. Synthetic data generator. This one's less flashy than the others, but it might be the most slept-on tool in the whole AI space. AI systems need massive amounts of data to learn from, but real data is messy, expensive to collect, and often locked behind privacy rules. Synthetic data generators like Gretel, Mostly AI, Tonic.ai, and Hazy create artificial datasets that mimic the patterns of real data without exposing any actual personal information. Healthcare companies use them to train diagnostic models. Banks use them to test fraud detection. Self-driving car companies use them to simulate road conditions. As privacy regulations keep tightening and the demand for AI training data keeps growing, synthetic data is becoming a quietly essential part of the whole ecosystem, and people are finally starting to catch on.